Have you ever wanted an enchanting table that emerges from another dimension? Or a custom statue to guard the entrance to your castles? Well then, here are 16 obscure Minecraft building tips, tricks, and ideas. Sometimes a regular water bucket just doesn't cut it, so I want some water to come out of here so it can spin this large water wheel. But when I place the water, yeah, not very good. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to use glass for this. So I'm going to make kind of almost like a gradient of glass going from blue to light blue to white here. And just make the water stream out of glass here. And I'll even add in some glass panes to make it look a bit more realistic. You can even have it sort of dripping down, as you can see with that glass pane. And that looks a lot better than if I was to just have a water block there. But if you want a more extreme example of this, well, good news. I'm in a gigantic mechanical elephant. And I use the exact same trick here to make it look like there's water coming out of the elephant's trunk. Here I used a slightly different gradient going from cyan to light blue to white. Now, I don't think most of you guys will ever be in a scenario when you need to make water coming out of the trunk of a giant elephant. But if you're ever in a scenario where the water just won't come down the cliff the way you want it to, you can maybe use stained glass. Glow lichen can be used for a lot of things other than just ambient lighting. For a start, you can use glow lichen on moss to make it look like a mossier cobblestone variant, as the glow lichen kind of looks like stone. So when you have some sort of stony path or patch like this, you can use the glow lichen on moss to better blend it in with the grass. It also just works for general wear and tear in a very stony area like this. As you can see, I have it all over the place. I used it on the quartz dirt to better mix it with the stone path. You can use it to make ores look more stony and almost like there's multiple gems in there with these colored bits. In my Zora's Domain build, I used it to dim down the color of diamond blocks and sea lanterns even, just to give it more texture so it's not all bright and luminescent. Diamond blocks with glow lichen is actually what I'm using for luminous stone in my Breath of the Wild map. You can see from this screenshot that it kinda works. Kind of. So this is something that my friend Cherry showed me. Mangrove roots actually kind of work as a makeshift thorn bush. So if beside your house you have a little bit of a foresty area like this, you can mix around some mangrove roots to kind of look like some sort of thorn bush. So like there's this little custom waterfall here, and I can just add some little thorn bushes around. And it kind of breaks off from all of the green I have in this area and adds a bit of a darker tone that kind of matches the spruce leaves. And as you can see here, I used a bunch of these thorn bushes to defend the structure in the middle, which I think are definitely pretty effective. And as a bonus, I think the mangrove wood with the roots make for a very nice sort of dead tree. If you want a bunk bed for your interior, there's a really simple way to make one. On the block above, put 2 trapdoors like so and put the bed above it. And then at the bottom, place 3 trapdoors on top of each other and open them all up. And then on the top bunk, you can add some signs along this side to act as a rail so that when you're sleeping up here, you can't fall off. If you really wanted to as well, you could even put some little railings down here along this one too. Now, I'm sure we all know about the glass fog trick. If you build a bunch of layers of glass with a gap of air in between, it creates this weird foggy void effect as seen here. You can also use end rods between the layers of glass to make it look like stars. But we can take this trick a step further. In this ancient magical library that I designed about a year ago, I used the void trick with enchanting tables to make a sort of infinity table. Excuse me, sir, you are not welcome here at all. Sorry, but you gotta die. Bro, leave me alone. You're still spitting at- Leave me be! I mean, I was gonna leave you guys alive, but you're gonna make me do it. If you want to build this, it's pretty simple. You just need to add an enchanting table between the layers of glass, as you can see me doing here. And just like that, the enchanting table is emerging from the void. Many people use the side texture of a loom to look like an empty bookshelf, as seen here. Along with the loom, however, pretty much all of the random decorative blocks in Minecraft have secret textures on the top or side that can be used in creative ways. So instead of just showing you one that you probably already know of, I'm just going to quickfire show you every single one I can think of. Part of the cartographer table's side texture looks like a vertical dark oak plank, so to add a bit of variation, you can incorporate it into your dark oak walls. The top texture on a beehive almost looks like a new wood type, so you can mix it with something like oak to create an interesting floor pattern like this. But also, if you have a kitchen build like this, you can use the top textures of a blast furnace and a furnace for a pretty nice stony tiled floor pattern. Plus, it's pretty nice in survival mode to have this many furnaces around. Or if you'd rather the floor be a bit darker, you can use the top texture on a smithing table. And honestly, I might prefer this. And if you're wondering how to use the third furnace design, the smoker, well, I have a different idea for that. If you have some sort of castle you're working on, it's possible that you have a gatehouse similar to this. And beneath the gatehouse, if you put a smoker, it looks like the fences actually have a proper place to fall into to make it more secure. However, honestly, I prefer using dispensers as the hole seems to match the fence better. The top texture on a lodestone also happens to match smooth stone quite nicely, so you can make a pretty nice floor pattern with this as well. Shulker boxes are pretty useful too. When you use the top texture, it makes for some pretty interesting floor patterns. Different colored shulker boxes work for different things as well. In my Breath of the Wild map, I used blue shulker boxes to make a soft, dull blue light in the ceiling above. Composters are a bit of a weird block, but they actually make for pretty good palm trees as you can see here. The side textures on barrels also match spruce wood pretty well, so you can use it in areas like this to make it look like a more fortified support beam. I could go on for a while about all of the different building uses of random blocks like respawn anchors, so I think it's best we just call it here and move on with the episode. Telling a story with small details is one of the best ways to improve your Minecraft builds. Take my secret mountain village, for example. The magical inhabitants of this village have kept its location secret for years, which means you shouldn't be able to just walk in here, right? Because of that, I made the path up to the village broken down and perilous. The path is clearly old, not well kept, and barely traveled as you climb up the mountain. The winding road abruptly ends, forcing you to parkour your way across the watery gap. And the bridge above has broken away, forcing you to make a dangerous jump across the dripstone below. Small details like that really help to add a story to your Minecraft build, so the next time you're working on a village, it's really important to think about how it would function in the real world. That will really allow you to tell the story of the build through the smaller details. If you are in a snowy area, you can add glow lichen to leaves to make them look snowy. As you can see here, this mini tree looks like it has a little bit of snow all throughout its leaves. And from a distance, it just has that little hint of white to set it apart from the others. And now that I've covered part of the bigger tree, you can really start to see the effect take hold. I actually think I might like this more than the traditional snow layers, so I might have to go through all of these trees over here with glow lichen. Trapdoors have a ton of uses in this game, but one way I don't see them used quite often is for interior walls. Let's say I wanted the bed in its own separate room. Well, using a full block makes it a really tight interior, and it just doesn't feel like there's much space. What you can do is use trapdoors. Placing them on top of each other like so and opening them up will add for an extra little wall to your house, which will give you a separate little room for your bed, but it won't take up quite as much space than if you were to use full blocks. You even still have room for a bedside table if you want one. Campfires are a very fun decorative block. So similar to the other blocks I covered earlier, we're going to go through a bunch of quick fire uses for campfires. Out the back of one of your houses, you can use them as a little bit of a food locker by extinguishing the flames and putting some various food items on them. Using campfires with signs and trapdoors makes for a pretty nice rickety little bridge. One of their obvious uses is to use them with some sort of wood to make little piles of logs. Paired with a mangrove log, it looks like you're actually cooking some kind of meat. If you're building any kind of wooden ruins, the log piles obviously work great with them to look like the structure is really falling apart. And one of its most well-known uses is to use them on awnings like this one. If you are building some sort of castle in Minecraft, it's likely that you'll have a tower of some kind with the sort of typical pointed tip. Usually I see tips like this that just go straight up into the fence and then that's it, but we can make this top a lot more interesting. One simple way to improve this is to just add a wall here. It thins out a lot better, but we can also add an extra fence and maybe a couple iron bars, and you can see it's a lot pointier now. Sometimes though, I don't want to go with this basic design, so I'll show you another tower tip that I like to use. Starting from this block, I'll go wall, fence, iron bar. And that different sort of tip where it bulges back out for a moment just makes it a lot more interesting sometimes. I don't do this with everything, but I don't know, sometimes I like to mix it up a bit. Now, this one is creative mode only, and I'm sure that some of you guys have already seen this. If you type in this command, you can get an invisible item frame, which, by the way, the command will be in the description of the video, so you can copy and paste it. Using this, you can make your shops... ignore him. Using this, you can make your shops more interesting by having the items on display without having the item frame in the way. You can also use these item frames to hang items like bows from the walls. Or if you'd rather, a sword. This one does not work as well as I wanted it to, but if you put an invisible item frame on the ground, you can place something like an apple inside, and then put a bowl over it. Problem is, the apple doesn't show through, so, this one is a bit questionable. Since we're on the topic, I'll show you guys the one other creative mode trick that I have in this video. Using the give command, you can give yourself a mob spawner, but unfortunately, whenever you place it, it has a pig inside, which really kinda sucks because I love this iron mesh design. Fortunately, however, my friend Hauziki showed me this command, which will give you an empty mob spawner. This command is also in the description so you guys can copy and paste. I was able to use this for my Divine Beast Varuda build to add a little bit of an iron mesh cage around the water wheels, as you can see here, and of course the pathways. You could use these for your prison builds, however, they don't go very well with iron bars. Now, this next trick I'm going to show you is a lot more complex than the other, and I think I want to make an entire video about it eventually. So, if you look at these two buildings, you'll notice they are completely different. These two buildings are the same style, but they look completely different. However, technically, they are the exact same. These are the exact same building, the only difference is that this one is built at a 90-degree angle, what most of you guys probably build on, and this one is at a 45-degree angle. It's completely diagonal, as you can see. But the little grass step up is there. The tower is the exact same design. The entrance awning is missing on that one. Listen, I just forgot about that, okay? Different angles completely change your builds in Minecraft, and when done subtly, can make your builds look way more complex than they actually are. Allow me to give you an example. So if we come over here, you can see this little structure. We got the sandstone that goes up into the end stone, the structure in the middle with the arch, and then the two towers. Further down the valley, we've got a ton of structures. It looks very complicated. All these different angles are really tough. But in reality, it's kind of all the same. This structure here is the exact same thing I just showed you. The sandstone into the end stone, the arch with the thing in the middle, and then the two pillars. Look at that. It's the same structure. The arch, thing in the middle, two towers. Even over here, look at this. We got the thing in the middle, the arch, the two towers. There it is again. There's the same structure. There it is again, there it is again. At first glance, these structures all seem different, but once you look at them, it's just the same with different angles. And at least in my opinion, this structure at an angle looks way better than the one over here, which has just the regular straight-on axis. So if and when you can, if you're just building a regular box house or something with this shape, maybe just try throwing it off its axis a bit, like this, and just see what you can come up with. A subtle change in the angle can make everything look different. Just don't jump off the deep end and go too extreme with it, because I had to work with building this entire thing at a 24-degree angle. It was very painful. As a little kid, I remember looking up how to make small statues to guard the entrances to my castles, and there was one that stuck with me for a while for how good it was. So, I decided to recreate my own version of it years later. Using some features from the old design I used years ago, but also adding in some new blocks to update it more. So if you need some sort of guard for your ancient temple or a castle of some kind, I'll show you how to build this. Start off with a deep slate brick wall with an anvil, put a hopper over that and cover its front and back with a dark oak trapdoor like so. Now, I used a netherite block on top of the hopper here, but you could also use something like a cauldron or maybe even another anvil. Next, we're going to add a deep slate brick wall next to the hopper here on either side, and put two more hoppers going into the walls. Then we're going to cover up the shoulders with dark oak trapdoors. One of the arms you can extend out like so, and I made mine hold some sort of sword here by putting a lightning rod underneath, an end rod up here, and two iron bars. Then for the head, we have a blast furnace. There are a ton of mini statue designs very similar to this one out there, so I tried my best to build my own unique one here. Oh, wait a second. Wait, I just figured, ooh, a lodestone kind of looks good for the bot. Wait, actually, no, that's so much better. Use the lodestone instead. Oh my god, use the lodestone instead. That's so much cooler. I don't know what just made me think of that. I have not seen any statues like this used recently, but I really love these designs. I just wanted to bring them back. Sometimes the plain stone cliffs made out of stone, andesite, and cobblestone get a little boring. Sometimes I just get sick of building these same colored cliffs. So, this is a pretty out there idea. You guys are not going to believe this. We can try new blocks. Take this unfinished castle, for example. So for the custom cliffs, I tried out some new darker blocks so that the castle was not the same color as the cliffs. As you can see here, I used a bit of a gradient going from basalt to deep slate to acacia wood to tough. In my Secret Mountain Village build, I tried the exact same thing and used the same gradient for these cliffs here. Something about the darker cliff color just looks so much nicer to me in this area. This massive gradient from Reddit user Revolution5200 is a very helpful reference tool for this kind of stuff. If you want darker cliffs, you can use stuff around this section. If you want black cliffs, you can use this stuff down here. Or if you really want to try out making some white cliffs, maybe you tried polished diorite to bone blocks. A simple change of the cliff color around your build will make the entire region feel a lot more unique. And with that one out of the way, that's the end of our list. If you want to see more stuff like this, let me know. Tell me what other kind of videos you want to see from me, but I think you should go check out the videos on screen. So I'll see you guys later.